Hi, this is Dave Van Hoy with Advanced Systems Group, and I'm here today with Remote Control, a presentation from Silicon Valley Video. And we are here today with Bryce Button, Director of Product Marketing from AJA. How are you doing, Bryce?
Doing well. Good to see you, Dave.
Good to see you as well. And today we wanted to ask you to speak first to the topic of what would you have been presenting at NAB this year that we didn't get to see in person?
So it was, as always with AJA, the portfolio is pretty broad. And we were going to announce a range of things across a range of sectors and technologies. When this crisis came down, we pulled out fairly early, and then we decided we would take the opportunity here to work through that portfolio and to actually hold off announcing until we could ship each time, which has actually been pleasant and is, I think, helpful in terms of bringing things to market. So at this point in time, we're already sitting here towards the end of June with the raft of announcements that have happened in the last few weeks. So in terms of the key technologies that we have rolled out, we've did some desktop software updates that were helpful, that I think makes the 8K workflow simpler, because there was a lot of stuff at the time. Of course, a lot of folks were gearing up for the Olympics, which was going to be the premier event for 8K. So we rolled a lot of that support into our desktop software. We've been pushing for quite some time to continue to expand our 12G SDI portfolio for a range of reasons. So whether you're in the truck business, whether you're working in production, moving away from that quad 3G SDI infrastructure to single cable has so many benefits, everything from weight, efficiency, troubleshooting, and simplifying it. And when you do 12G SDI, of course, you've got a slightly shorter cable run. So the partnership you're always going to need there is fiber. And so we've greatly expanded our fiber capabilities with 12G SDI. And in fact, we had a slew of announcements on that front yesterday with a bunch of mini converters. But we've also taken it to the recorder stage. So we introduced the KeyPro Ultra 12G. So continuing the growth of the options there on our sort of portable or rack frameable recorder player portfolio. The KeyPro Ultra 12G has got 12G SDI, single channel there for 4K. It's also got additional 3G SDI ports, so you can do multi-channel HD. But we've also introduced some SFPs that you can optionally put in the device, so you can handle HDBNC when you need that sort of dense SDI routing, but also ST connectors. So for fiber, when you're in practice, LC is of course very common. You already have those SFPs, but the ST connectivity there is kind of key for the more rough and tumble. It tends to go. Yes. For actual production. You need that lock. So that's the
little plastic connectors.
Yeah, it doesn't do so well when you got a guy in boots tripping over cables.
Obviously during this time, we're seeing a lot of changes in workflows. People are being very not only creative in creating their material, but creative in how they create their material.
Yes.
And I would imagine that from your vantage point at AJA, you're seeing some of those trends and probably adapting yourselves.
For sure. You can't look at the current environment and not realize the natural transitions that have been occurring in terms of dealing with IP as a concept and then putting it into practical workflows. We've all seen with sort of this AIMS initiative, that type of thing, that push to get there, but a lot of the workflows have been by practical nature hybrid. Now there's a greater acceleration of the need to get materials into the cloud in many, many different ways. that might be the media itself. So you're seeing, groups like Frame.io, for instance, and Michael's out there pushing that. It's been utilized for some of the interviews and things I've done, like we're doing today, where files can be easily shared and that type of thing. Then there's that control level of the equipment, and that's where I feel really blessed that we were proactive early in the process. We never looked at it as just building a box. It's a box that's going to be involved in a bigger workflow. So that ability to configure, control the amount of work we've done in creating presets to speed things up. And again, that REST API stuff where we're constantly working with other vendors, giving them easy, quick ways to get into control configuration. And then again, the file transfer side of things is key. And then listening really carefully right now, because there are a range of options. You could be going NDI, you could look at SRT, you could look at some of the stuff that we've seen from our AV business. Even the AV business has seriously started to realize that even if they're doing live production, they need that further remote workflow to augment. Because we also have audiences, sometimes you've got to take everything down to like the basics. Who's your audience? And we now have a full generation, including kids in my house, I never see turn on a television set. So where's the stuff?
It now has a keyboard.
Correct.
Or you carry it in your pocket.
Correct. Or the finger gets, finger swipe artists, as they call them. So the deal there is the type of experience they're looking for, the range of materials they want to bring into things. Even the type of work we've seen with BBC iPlayer over the years and where they want to go, which has brought in all sorts of interesting things that we're not necessarily doing right now. We've certainly paid attention to, geolocation, metadata, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. That becomes part of the conversation. So while we're definitely looking at those particular key IP technologies right now, and audio that's been out there for a while with Dante and various things, is figuring out how people may want to combine, utilize, and then also figure out market-wise which technologies are going to serve what types of producers throughout the range of their needs. Right.
That's a good point. And, I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask sort of an interesting deja vu historical question, which is one of the things that we have that I haven't asked others in doing these interviews is we have a Mac Pro with slots again, which for AJA must be a tremendous deja vu because it really started its digital transition to, all of these non-direct real-time workflows with the Kona card in the original Mac. How has that been for AJA?
Oh, it's been fun and interesting. We started working fairly early. You're fairly familiar with the way Apple works. Obviously, different portions of things are broken out into different groups, and many in Apple themselves don't really know what's coming until it's all brought together. But what was key there, I think, was a recognition in terms of horsepower, the ability to use, as you've seen in your business, GPUs and multiple GPUs where necessary to offload various.
Use a whole different term now.
Correct. Who's doing the computation or where you're sending that and for what purpose. So having that flexibility is key. And then I think, the other concepts that have been very interesting there is what Apple introduced with the ProRes accelerator card, right? Mm-hmm. So that concept, I think, is very exciting. I think we're in very early days there in terms of seeing what that can be, both for them and for us as partners.
That's a tremendous commitment to our industry for them to actually do that. That's a very dedicated thing.
It's wonderful, and I think even as we're living through this period of the COVID crisis, and we've seen a lot of utilization of our tools within that community, whether it's the streaming tools, capture of stuff for surgery, but obviously a lot of people needing to look at visual data in a decent way. Our scanners have done our frame, our raster scanners are doing very well with that right now, because you've got a lot of people chucking stuff off computers they need to get in. But back to that bigger idea, I think Apple's move there was a recognition of what was going on in the PC community to a certain degree as well, where you're getting much more powerful workstations coming together from HP and Dell and others. But of course, being Apple, there was jump that next level of thinking up. And so those kind of tools with Accelerator, etc., are really opening possibilities. So I think, as I said, for me, it's early days in terms of where that type of tool goes, but it's very exciting.
Well, it's clear that they intended to build that platform to be around a while. It's pretty flexible. I mean, putting 10 gig ports in, just for LAN connectivity at the start, which I think that iMac Pro sort of signaled that coming. Okay. But that makes sense. It's the type of world we're moving into. And then the protocols we were talking about with NDI, et cetera, those can be software components of something that's sort of already built in. And on that front, we continue to do a lot of work. Prior to the call, we talked about AJA Control Room a bit. This is the type of software we put out there that can play back various codecs. It's amazingly widely used.
Yeah. So combining all that in the right ways to do it is the listening we need to do as a vendor, and it informs the types of products that will continue to announce. Based on your first question around NAB, it's given us the ability to look at that, adjust in little places, and continuously review roadmaps, like I think every vendor does right now, and figure out the best paths forward for our key audiences.
Well, Bryce, I really want to thank you. It's been a great conversation and great to see you as always.
Likewise. It's always great to see you.
This is Dave Van Hoy from Advanced Systems Group for Silicon Valley Video. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoyed this episode.